Granted, these are our two slower teams of the top four, so it's kind of expected they do play reactively, but there's a difference between reactive and just passive and rolling over, which is what we saw from J-Team in the games they did lose. And if you're being stomped by Machi of all teams in 25 minutes, something needs to change.
Exactly, and we're going to see whether or not that change is going to be in the game itself. But we'll start it off right off the bat in the draft for game number 4. Machi, again, reminder on match point already, as we see similar bans coming from Type A J-Team still on blue side with that Azir and Zoe.
Yeah, no changes quite yet. What I do want to see, though, maybe we leave the Caitlyn open and first pick it for J-Team, because that would put Machi in a position where they have to choose between Set and Caitlyn for their final ban. But Lil V, not seen the Caitlyn from him quite yet. Granted, we haven't seen him play in playoffs yet, which is where Caitlyn really has come into her own. But it's still really frustrating to see it banned out because it's the best marksman on this patch. And yet they're saying, look, nah, we don't really want that OP champ for ourselves. Please don't blind pick Renekton again. They'll just pick a tank into it and ruin your day for the fourth time today.
It's a different scenario now, Everest. It looks like that J-Team decided to, okay, let's take away this Graves pick away from Gemini. Perhaps just leave the Renekton open, just give that away towards PK as they do lock that in.
So I do actually like Rest champion pool just that little bit more compared to PK. Granted, we haven't actually seen the Wukong into Renekton, which is historically a pretty decent matchup for the Wukong. So I think we maybe see Rest bring it out if push comes to shove in that champion pool. I think Wukong Orianna is a fairly solid lock-in for J-Team next rotation if this Ashe is indeed name of the game for the side of Machi. Otherwise, just take Thresh Kalista and go blow for blow here. But I think definitely securing those two priority solo laners that do wombo combo so well together, come these mid-game team fights the J-Team do trend in towards, are very, very valid options. But this is also a good one that did secure J-Team their single victory of this series.
Exactly, not waiting for that second rotation of bans just to make sure that they're able to secure that for Nesty. Just as you mentioned, it is that single victory on that champion pick for Nesty. Even though he was a little bit behind in lane, still able to pick it back up come mid to late. And now what does J-Team decide to do? Do they want to lock in their Senna? Yes, that is the case.
Yeah, Senna, of course, fairly solid out of the AD carry still remaining in the pool, has an okay matchup into Ashe, as long as you don't need too much poke from the W, and even if you do, just sustain up with your AD scaling heal. Yeah, it makes sense, but at the same time, it does mean that we are looking to prioritize some of the more engage-centric supports alongside the Senna. I'm eager to see, do we see the Thresh? Do we see the Tahm Kench, the Leona? All of that good stuff. And Akali coming out here again. Mission did so well on that pick, but this pick irritates me because this champion is depending on the enemy team to mess up. You're relying on them to spoon feed you the early game on a silver platter, and if J-Team have learned from the previous one, that will hopefully not be the case here.
Yeah, it's like, you know, Machi's willing to take that risk once more, hoping that game number 3 will happen once more towards Mission, and we're looking at the second rotation of bans as Mordekaiser will be taken out away from Rest. Lee Sin will be the next one as well, as Gemini likes to fall back into the Gemini, the Lee Sin, after the Graves is being taken. And what's left? Nidalee? Trundle, I suppose?
So we're looking at some of the, as you said, Lee Sin is the preferred jungle pick into Graves, but I'm more concerned with how the top lane's going to go, because we've now taken away the two AP champions that have seen the most in top, and you're suddenly missing out on that mixed damage portfolio between Rest and Hana. It means Ninja Tabi will be enough for PK to weather whatever storm the top jungle of J-Team do rack up in towards them. And speaking of storms, here is one coming through a bear in the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, considering the fact that, you know, at the first regular split, few games of the regular split, Volibear ain't showing the best of success, but it was only Machi for a time that is able to, you know, put this back on top of the standings when it comes to either the jungle or maybe even top side. And the response for J-Team is, okay, we're going to be picking this Gangplank against this Renekton.
The individual matchup here is beautiful for the GP, fantastic even. Just Q, trade with the Grasp and the Parlay early on, Renekton can't really do much, level 1, and later on you just, if you all into W, walk away, happy days. Issue being that the 2v2 top side from J-Team is so bad compared to Machi's early skirmish potential that we're now looking at a world where J-Team can't play for rest, can't play around top. Senna is your bot laner, you don't really want to pressure for her, so you're banking on Sylas actually being able to navigate this Akali lane fairly well. Otherwise, Hana's just going to be on farm duty, and J-Team again will sit back on their laurels, waiting for Machi to scale up towards a formidable mid-game.
Exactly, 100% agree on the 2v2 of top and jungle. Pretty awkward. You've seen so many gangplanks already being set up for potential dives, and there is a lot going on, especially when you pair that up with the Volibear and the Renekton. I put the Bard in as well. Pretty interesting pair towards Bruce. Again, Bard only appeared back then in the spring playoffs, and it is definitely the PCS special we're seeing here.
Yeah, Bard absolutely trashes most melee supports in lane just by abusing them with his range, with his trading. A lot of disengage, a lot of good engage, and most of all, beautiful map-wide rotation. The Ashe as well, the global threat of the arrow, fantastic. Very, very different to the Senna, who likes to sit AFK in lane, try and extend the lane phase as long as possible, farm up a few souls, trade when you can. It's all good stuff for the Senna, but the issue is she will falter when it comes to moving around in relation to Machi's bot lane. Machi, pick of the litter when it comes to macro, should be ahead in this game and should look to accelerate that early game.
Yeah, there's a lot of options too, with use of Magical Journey, even your Tempered Fate, able to set up for the squad. And what are your options, I suppose? I mean, you do have two globals on the side of Type A J-Team, Sylas. I'm not sure if there's any value in stealing a couple of ults, maybe towards Gemini's Volibear.
You could. I guess Sylas just becomes big. I actually haven't seen that interaction yet, but well, could be interesting, so at the very least. Tempered Fate as well, pretty nice one to take away, let's be real. And of course, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow does a fair chunk of damage and gives you additional engage potential. But yeah, J-Team in it for the long haul, scaling up to the late game, while Machi, the onus is on them. They feel the pressure now to be proactive early. Let's see them clash. Let's see Machi take it away if they want to close this one out and secure their berth further towards the finals.
Imagine J-Team first seed, Machi at the moment having to see whether or not they're able to secure this game for themselves and move further towards that world slot. Here we go.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
There you go. So far, though, no cheeky invades, I suppose, coming from Machi. And throughout the whole endeavor for this BO5 series, it is, Machi's stuck in the red side. J-Team, a little bit here, loving the blue side, as we can see that 3 members actually converging at top side.
I'm actually pretty intrigued to see how Koala plays this level 1, not only in his movement around the map, but also does he scale Q for the potential engage or trading bot lane, or does he take W and place 3 shrines mid to essentially function as a second health potion to get the Akali through the lane phase? You see it with Kassadin, you see it with other scaling mids, just Bard goes a long way to helping his team get through that. On a bit of a chime hunt at the moment, 1 minute 20 into this game, and I'm already a little tilted. What is this? Koala? Okay.
Yeah, just probably trying to see. Gonna chime in, I suppose, at the upper portion of the map.
Nice. That is an Ibris level pun right there.
I'm learning from you.
What a terrible idea it was to put us together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving back towards the game, and while Koala is able to get a bit on towards top side, I suppose, and I guess nothing too funny has happened just yet. seeing the top side still a little bit more peaceful, as a bunch of pokes here and there has happened in the bot side of the map.
Yeah, that being said though, 2v2 still gonna go by way of the Bard Ashe just because of innate range advantage, at least until the Senna racks up a couple of souls. Leona has the ability to kind of force an engage onto either of these targets. They're both fairly squishy, but Exhaust and Cleanse about as disengage centric as you can get, while the Machi bot lane just want to weather the early couple of levels, get some harass down where possible, and then rotate around the map for a crazy skirmish, like the one top side.
Oh, yep, like the one top side indeed, as we see Rest in big trouble. There's the stun, there's the barrel, unfortunately. Not a lot of damage so far, as Hana actually wants the return kill, but no revenge kill whatsoever. That's first blood in favor of Machi.
Yeah, level up means that the GP had fruit, eventually does live for a little bit, even lines up a nice barrel, gets himself next to the wall so the Graves can flash forward for the instant Q back, but here's another Q from the Graves.
There's the Shroud in, though. Mission is still a little bit safe and towards the smoke. Taking a look at this replay, though, not a lot of vision to work with, actually. Rest does have a little bit of vision towards the river, but a little bit too late, as, Gemini took the long way around to get this dive possible, and Rest a little bit extended. Hana, unfortunately, unable to find an exchange kill.
That would have been super sexy for Hana had he not flubbed the Q. He actually preemptively threw that out so it bounced back off that initial chunk of the wall. Instead of connecting onto both targets, it hits no one, and it means a lot of the Graves burst and advantage there is out of the picture, much like Nest's Martyr. Here's a trade bot!
Oh no, that's Bruce gonna get the root, as Bruce will be the first one to fall in towards this exchange, as Gemini will make his way towards bot side. Koala has no way to escape aside from that flash. Lil V incredibly low, wants to auto Koala. There's two separate fights at the moment. Woody just wants to escape, and you look at that, Lil V actually falls, and his support will follow suit, and that's an unfortunate trade, and Machi just wins that one.
Solid 2v2 in favor of the J-Team bot lane yet again, but the overcommit. 4 members of Machi come down into that bot lane 4 minutes in. Yes, they kill the Ashe, but a kill goes back into the pockets of the Akali. We said in the previous game the Akali is only good, is only validated if you spoon feed her kills to get her out of this early game. And they do, yet again. Mission off to a fantastic start because J-Team overextend. And look, Nesty's in base. This mid laner of J-Team uncharacteristically poor so far this series, and Machi are living for it.
Yeah, uncharacteristic has been the name of the series. Normally it is Type A J-Team was able to, create these opportunities, create side lane pressure, but, Mission able to teleport into, that exchange that J-Team bot lane was willing to commit. And now, Nesty had no choice, teleport into the mid lane.
Yeah, well, wait, what? Why would you TP to the mid lane? The Akali was resetting after TPing bot anyway. It's like, but the weighting of priority here. You could TP a little bit later, secure free prio for Drake. It's, okay, he's already chunked out. Nice. This is not promising. Maybe he's baiting for Hana, who's doing a grand total of nothing. Okay, J-Team, scale up. Do it. Just sit back, farm. Wait for level 6 on GP, wait for level 6 on Silas. Do anything other than whatever you're doing right now.
I mean, this is looking very reminiscent of what we've seen in game number 2, where Nesty was just completely behind, but you're up against Mission on this Akali, and but this is actually pretty new. J-Team having the first blood on this Drake, after seeing 3 games straight of them having not to achieve first Drake on towards the game, says Mission. We'll just provide vision for the squad.
Yeah, actually a very good read on the fact that Gemini took a fairly inefficient reset here, but for some reason, J-Team remain in the spot side river. Okay, good vision by them to say, look, okay, big angry bear coming our way, Akali now in position to move as well. Perhaps we should peace out. That being said though, additional safety of the cannon barrage means J-Team can be a little bit more forthcoming in their positioning, and yet Machi not caring for it, saying, look, let's invade. screw it, regardless, we're going to go for this. There's a cannon barrage, but we're not afraid of it. We're just going to brute force our lead even further. Beautiful. Pressure your lead where you can, grow those advantages, snowball them, and get on the board with it.
That's exactly what happened. Looking at the previous game where Mission got a lot of early kills, therefore not a lot could deal with them. And two birds in one stone kind of thing where Nesty is unable to get back into a solid footing. Looks like this is going to be a gank in towards the bottom side of the map. Magical Journey is going to put them back to safety. Guess not, as Woody interrupts that. But no full committal. Look at the top side of the map, though. Gemini having to stop the wave in. There's the Stormbringer bringing on Rest's death. And even though there was that cannon barrage, it's still not enough to exchange a kill.
He didn't orange the stun. He oranged after the stun. It's more max health, and I guess it was potentially on cooldown, but... Alright. It's fine, though. Honestly, if GP's dying, it's not that terrible. Still a champion. Does scale up. My main concern is that Graves, absolutely not on the board right now. Silas, practically invisible. Senna, surprisingly doing very well for herself. Let's be real here. Didn't expect Lil V to style on Bruce and Koala with the fact that the support got the counter pick. Like, support counter pick for Machi should have dictated the bot lane. Should have won it straight up. That is how a lot of bot lanes are decided nowadays, is which support gets to choose their matchup. Here's a replay of the fight that didn't turn into anything. Hana's just like, don't really fancy it.
I guess it's the top lane replay for us to see as, again, Rest, even though he had flash, he got stunned in and just let things
orange
happen.
After the stun and CC has already come down. Don't even think about flashing, just... Down one gaming. I mean...
Yeah.
Nuguri is a very talented top laner. I have a lot of respect for him. I guess Rest does too. He had a very good Renekton earlier today. I don't know if it was into GP, but I know it did a lot of work, so perhaps referencing that, or just the fact that, you know, it's a good top laner. Regardless, J-Team, hoping that their good top laner actually decides to play this game after a couple more minutes of scaling.
Yeah, I think it's a very different approach now, considering the fact that Rest spammed Renekton 3 times into the series, I believe, and not a lot of pressure now as Rest can just as you mentioned, scale up rather than be very impactful in the early stages of the game. But now, 1 minute and 40 for J-Team though to get into that dragon, as they do have first dibs on that first Drake earlier.
Yeah, so now we're looking at J-Team as being kind of inconsistent so far this series, but on the other hand, Machi definitely could shore up their play a little bit. The fact they lost game 2...
Oh!
Okay, this is a good rotation.
Tempered Fate! The Crystal Arrow! That's a nice flash from Nesty, but I guess the Wombo combo that we expected didn't really kick in.
Alright, nice. Yeah, layering a CC there, a little bit unfortunate, but I'm happy to see Machi rotating the spot lane around the map, because that's where we said, back in Champ Select, that's where the Ashe Bard truly flourished relative to a Senna lane. Senna loves to sit still, loves to farm up the souls, rack up in relevancy, and you can really use the global mobility of the Ashe plus Bard combo. You get the Magical Journey, Tempered Fate, Crystal Arrow, it's all beautiful. Much like this potential gank from Gemini, but there's a ward, and yet they get around it.
Wait, whoa, look at that. Gemini getting first dibs in, but the W, the root, will just hold the bear down. And that's going to be bear trapped. But with that, that could have been a successful gank, but good reaction coming from Lil V.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate there, and Gemini actually shoring up his play a little bit relative to the first Drake take. Seeing that it's up in 15 seconds, he pressures out bot just that little bit, and then immediately resets, so he knows for a fact he'll be in position to contest this, or not, as he decides to go top after Drake spawns. After taking a good reset for a Drake timer, he will...
I guess this is interesting for Gemini to pursue a gank in the lane instead of top side.
Okay. Alright. I I praise him for doing something, and he has the right start to it and ends up in an interesting position. That being said, funnel tower first blood into the Renekton's pocket. Beautiful. Get him ahead. Get him snowballing even more than he already is, and suddenly the GP really cannot play the game. Though already, as we mentioned back in Champ Select, picking double AD topside into Renekton just means Ninja Tabi, you've already won lane at that point.
A lot of value onto that, I suppose, acquisition, and now putting Rest even further into his own tower at the inner tower for topside, and with that, at least Rest is still able to create impact with his cannon barrages, but at this point, Machi really on the board, hoping to attempt on Nesty's life. Unfortunately, nothing will happen there.
That being said, looking at state of the game so far for Machi, despite getting ahead early, it's only really the Renekton that is completely, you know, running with the lead that he's got for himself. Volibear as well, all over the map, but everyone else just kind of quiet so far. Bruce sitting back, scaling up, waiting for that Miracle Arrow later on, and this Akali, despite getting spoon-fed that early kill and having Gunblade, hasn't actually gone for the all-in that we've come to attribute to Mission in lane.
No, straight towards Gunblade, just as we mentioned. Nesty, though, unable to get a decent trade off of that, and actually loses at the end of the deal, as there's not a lot of objectives to take off of the map just yet. So that's the reason why a lot of junglers trying to make things happen, perhaps put Mission on the back foot, to not replicate what happened in game number 3.
Yeah, and the redeeming factors for J-Team this game are that Gangplank and Senna actually deal exceptionally well with the Akali later on. You create a field of barrels that she can't access your backline through without fear of getting just blown up for half of her health. Smokescreen as well, fairly solid disengage from the graves. Yeah, cool. And the fact of the matter is that Senna can DPS from like 2 screens away. If Senna ever has Akali on top of her, she's dead. Absolutely just dead to rights. 4 hit, 3 hit. It's all good stuff for Mission, but it's an ordeal getting on top of her, short of a Miracle Bard or Ashe Engage. So look at Machi to set Mission up for success, rather than J-Team spoon-feeding Mission into relevancy yet again this game.
Yeah, it's very different from what we've seen before. And yeah, it's a little bit more risky now. Very easy to land in the hard CC, I suppose, in the form of this Leona, if Mission decides to dive in. But for Machi now, look at their rotation, having to hope whether or not they're able to find a sneaky pick, but that will be not the case. But looking at the vision control coming from Machi, a lot of vision being invested in the jungle of J-Team.
Issue being that it's on the opposite side of the map to the relevant objective, but hey, we take those. Machi actually floundering on the objective game, by the way. There's a kill lead for them, but they're down 2 Drakes. Gonna be down... Okay, no, gonna take this Herald. Cool. 2 Drakes for 2 Heralds. Not the end of the world, as long as you don't let J-Team continue to snowball towards a mid to late game soul win condition. This Herald needs to crack open mid lane tier 1, then you can move Bard Ashe, your kind of maneuverable pieces around the map, just that little bit more reliably, and fish for more aggressive picks and deeper vision into the enemy, because then because of your bot side vision, you can snowball this mid lane take into a bot lane tier 1 take. Okay, cool.
Okay, arrow in response to Stormbringer, but the tower is down, and look at that, Nesty very low, forced the Proto Bow out of there, as that's going to be a cannon barrage just to try and remove the retreat, but that will be the second charge for that extra value on that inner tower in the mid lane.
Yeah, Machi here can just reset after that and then look towards bot tier 1. Could also look towards mid tier 2 if they really want to, but yeah. At this state of the game, it's actually weird because Machi as a team love to extend lane phases, love to scale up, love to keep Mission in that isolated 1v1, get Bruce ramping up in relevancy, but at the same time, you want to pressure early fights as much as possible, while Silas is still grasping at straws trying to become relevant, while GP is trying to come online, while Senna's still being pulled around the map. Try and force as much as possible and keep up this not quite breakneck pace, but a good tempo. Ocean Drake going to be name of the game for them in the next 30 seconds, and then we expect them to make a play for another tower.
And we'll have to see, because so far, Machi has been, you know, at the opposite side of the objectives up until when we saw the second Rift Herald to spawn earlier, as they snatched that sneakily away against J-Team. But with that said, yeah, 9 seconds on the clock. Machi does have first dibs on this area so far. And for Type A J-Team, Silas does have teleported a few seconds, so therefore, if they're up for it, they can fight for third, but looks like they're giving this up.
Definitely seems to be the case here, as Machi now trading back on that to take away a little bit of a win condition. Miracle comeback for J-Team here. And J-Team now just scrambling to get whatever standing gold they can. Going to be a top lane turret, hopefully falling into their pockets, but with that quick rotation across the map, Bruce!
Bruce is just so far extended, Solar Family not connect, but the Zenith Blade is right on the money as Bruce, solo in the mid lane, dies.
Yeah, rare to see the J-Team bot lane carry this early on, and yet they are currently keeping this team relevant. They're very good weak side players, they scale up into phenomenal teamfight engaged threats, and yet now they're taking control of the game themselves. Bruce, considering he had no one near him, no cleanse up, ridiculously overextended, had to play further towards the bot side where all of this red side vision was dictated, and yet because he steps up just that little bit too far, finds a solar flare from Leona in the bush, and J-Team now a little bit more room to breathe as they do try to scale up into a good position for themselves.
A pretty good sneaky kill off of that Woody Flash solar flare. Bruce definitely not prepared for that. But yeah, at least J-Team is able to get at least one kill off of that, putting Bruce in a 0-2-0 position, but still, Machi still has a bit of control, at least when it comes to the lanes, on the side lanes rather, so far.
Definitely is the name of the game here, honestly. Side lane control for the side of Machi. Renekton, prominent split pusher. Akali, very, very good at that as well. But if you're like kind of slowly pushing, if you're not meaningfully committing for an objective at this point, it's just affording J-Team more time to scale and more time to claw their way back into this one.
And, you know, Machi has a history of being, you know, one of the slowest teams in the PCS, I suppose. And, you know, if that keeps up, if they stick to that sort of identity, then J-Team will have a bigger chance in coming back into this game. And now I guess after that would be Baron play, I suppose, as, you know, a lot of the teams now investing towards the upper portion of the map. It's a support duel that's happening right now, Briss.
Nice. The Bard, of course, does win on that, unless...
Oh! Okay, Magical Journey, Solar Flare just to top it all off, and mission accomplished for Type A J-Team, removing Koala, removing the Tempered Fate, and removing any sort of other additional safety off of the team.
Yeah, taking out the Bard there as well gets rid of a lot of the mobility of the rest of the team, of course. The innate safety of the Ashe now. She's super immobile, super weak. Could find a pick or could be picked. They've stolen the arrow, could look for something with it if mission does overextend. Ooh, PK.
PK with a very nice position for this interesting flank. There's the go signal for Machi. Hana incredibly low. He has to retreat. Now it's going to be a 4v4 situation as Rest actually TPs in. But Machi says, okay, we're done. We're not going to take this fight.
Credit to Machi for trying that. In the end, they do just force the TP out of the GP. Fine. Koala, really weird positioning here. Going for this was just dumb, considering you knew Hana was getting the flank from the blue buff as well, which is why your Volibear backed off. And yeah, overcommitment from the side of Machi, maybe feeling it a little bit too much, but they do have that extra breathing room of, you know, the extra game in pocket relative to J-Team. Yeah,
a little bit too, I wouldn't say excited, a little bit ballsy there for Koala, but at least I think the biggest news, the good news rather, for Machi, nothing was exchanged despite the absence of Koala in that time frame. No Baron to take, no third dragon for J-Team to take, I suppose. But now still, you know, the top portion of the map still standing strong when it comes to the outer tower of Machi at topside. Mission. Gold lead, PK mission right on track, I suppose.
Yeah, okay. I see. That's
Sorry.
why you're talking about mission. I was like, okay, because I'm just tunneling on the minimap right now because everyone's moving into this bot side, red side jungle. Didn't even notice the graphic in the top left saying, look at this gold, look at how big this Akali is. The issue I have is that Akali got big off of that bot lane TP play, and so far hasn't pressured out anyone 1v1. Just chilled, just waited, just done her thing. What I do like about the Akali, though, is that she can confidently match Rest in the side lane, and that does mean the GP is a little bit limited in his options for actually farming up. going to be farming towards his Essence Reaver. Does mean he'll have 40% CDR pretty quickly, and it does mean that's more opportunities for big cannon barrages to really save J-Team's bacon.
Very true, considering the fact that Machi does have that teleport lead. Therefore, has a lot of options later on when they do want to pressure the side lanes. And, Machi has, again, a lot of free space to work with and getting all of these objectives so far, as that's going to be their second dragon of the game. Also denying that third Drake for J-Team to come a little bit closer to that soul point.
Yeah, Ocean Soul, definitely a valid win condition, as well as, of course, Baron being very, very good at augmenting the siege from Machi, who are kind of ranged hampered when it comes to actually making 5-man pushes. Same goes to say for J-Team, though, of course, 2 melee solo laners either piece, so it's like, yeah. You definitely need, not a clean ace, but a solid team fight if you're going to see either of these teams make a play for a siege.
And the question is, who will pull that sort of trigger, as already Machi having a setup for the upper portion of the map for a possible Baron, possible pick, and they're able to commit 100% without having to worry too much about J-Team having a possible steal, I suppose. But now, these choke points are a little bit scary with all the solar flare as well, and, Koala is able to get a easy stun, I suppose. And I guess who gets to get isolated, because Nesty could be that person, as Gemini gonna get that Q in, get that stun, but none just yet, as J-Team wants to pursue this. There's the solar flare, and unfortunately we can see Koala again being the sole man behind that retreat, and now J-Team has control over the top portion of the map.
Ooh, does he become Big Silas? We will find out now. Stolen Polar Bear ult? Ooh, Bruce is in a weird position, but nope, they didn't realize. Kind of tragic. Yeah, regardless, bit of an overcommit onto Nesty here, and yeah, while the Bard can move around the map really fast, it means that he leaves the Ashe and Renekton in the dust. So in trying to force that play, in trying to move around the map quickly, Machi split their team, Machi get picked off, and Machi now cede a lot of the vision control they had around this Baron. It means J-Team back in the game, J-Team back in a good position, and J-Team now can look for fights of their own.
Exactly, and you were talking about how dangerous this could go if, they waited out a little bit, having Rest in a prime position for barrels to be more impactful in fights, to have Lil V scale up as well to be a little bit more painful against, Machi, especially Mission will have a harder time, and all of these players aren't able to get, I don't know, maybe the stopwatches in their arsenal to buy some more time for Mission, unable to finish off certain kills. But, Koala's back up, so all 5 members are still at least on the map. And now the biggest question is, where do they put their resources in? There's 2 minutes on the clock for the next dragon to spawn.
Yeah, that third Drake, of course, not necessarily a win condition for either team, but it will be one step towards a very clear one in that Ocean Soul. Here's the fight, though.
Rest is able to escape, able to sidestep away, predict where Koala is going to put that Tempered Fate. Tempered Fate not going to be available anytime soon, but the same goes for Rest's Flash in the next fight.
Machi now looking for a potential engage, but J-Team pretty wise to it.
Is that the engage? That is the Crystal Arrow. Whoa, single man Tempered Fate. They got Bruce, they got the Solar Flare on top of him, but that means Machi just wants to pull and commit, as Rest will be the first one to fall, and that's going to be an exchange 1-for-1 so far with a Renekton falling down, but J-Team is going to stomp Machi into this fight, follows and stalks Koala, and the Zenith Blade, max rage, triple kill now on the Silas for Nesty.
It's been since like week 3 that I've seen a Senna flank, but okay, cool, nice, Lil V. He finds his way into that fight, gets a nice entry point onto the Machi lineup, the hard commit for the rest of his team. But J-Team commit for this with Lil V basically just coming out of base now, and yet they are rewarded because Machi don't pull the trigger fast enough. They don't recognize, this is actually a 5v4, we can go for this. And mid-lane tier 1 kills Nesty, who for some reason decides to fish for a pick under the mid lane tier 1. And now the numbers advantage in favor of Machi with the Drake up in 30 seconds. And Machi now back in a good position.
Yeah. I mean, It was perfect. J-Team
Wait.
finally won a fight.
More gold now funneled into Akali. Literally, J-Team gave the shutdown to Akali, and they are making this champion relevant by choice.
Exactly, it all started here, I suppose. Yeah, Nesty wanted that kill.
He
Gets
wasn't
the
getting
tower
out, to be
range.
fair, but that was just a weird commitment. Also, why was Lil V not with the team pushing mid? I blame everyone on J-Team for that one. Honestly. Can they get the straight from it, though?
Yeah, Machi now, though, they do have a lot of area covered on towards the dragon. They're able to try to zone in. Woody finding the correct timing as Mission looking for a flank on towards J-Team. There's the crystal arrow. Four-man tempered fade. Beautiful. But what do they do with that as PK will lead the charge? As we can see, Lil V still in a very safe position. Gemini trying to bother the backline, but I don't think it's enough as there's one member down. Mission will be the first one to fall as the pursuit still continues. Lil V with the autos will meet Hana behind him, and that's going to be 2 kills more to make that 3 rather. And I mean, Machi does get the dragon, but at what cost?
Fate is tempered, but unfortunately for Machi, our expectations are not. J-Team take a convincing team fight there off of that dragon take by Machi, and now J-Team say, look, you get third Drake, we'll take the Baron, our neutral objective of choice, as Machi desperately try to send their bot lane for a contest. It's not going to be the play. Everything is going well for J-Team here as they look to secure this Baron.
And with that, we got Type A J-Team back in the game here. More power. And so far, Machi hasn't been winning these 5v5 fights. A lot of people has already scaled into their spikes. And again, the Tempered Fate was perfect, but there's no follow-up.
I mean, this should be a good time for Mission to get backline access or set himself up in a good position, but the GP is zoning him out alone. Even with the rest of the team in stasis, Akali can't move in on that fight because GP's barrels at this point deal about half of her health. They're so scary. Mission, yes, he's fed, but he may as well just be a cannon minion at this point with the lack of backline access that he's finding.
J-Team fully on guard against Mission's possible flanks. And now Machi has to defend against a Baron-empowered J-Team at the moment, and I think they were trying to get a sneaky kill here and there by camping a brush or two. But unfortunately, Type A J-Team a little bit more together now as they try to slow down the push that J-Team has intended to do.
I have no idea how both of these mid laners continue to randomly get fed, but it's working out for both of them so far. Mission now actually could struggle to hold her rest in side lane. Almost called him Hanabi because he did die for first blood on the GP, as is tradition at this point in the PCS. But, oh man, yeah, GP definitely can give Akali a run for her money in the side lane at least. Gonna get Sterax as his next item, just weather the storm of that burst potential from the assassin in the mid lane for Machi. As, speaking of mid lanes, J-Team running it down Machi's, pushing him for this tier 2, looking for the play.
They're getting a lot of value off of this Baron at least. Try to push it out in the mid lane as well as bottom side of the map. Crystal Arrow is not going to hit anyone, but Mission's still going to be safe for now.
It looked cool though. It was stolen, by the way.
Oh, stolen.
Yeah.
Nesty.
Heist, heist successful, but like the post-heist, sadly not.
Oh, that's the real arrow now, hitting the Lil V in the middle of it all. He's in stasis. Gemini's super low at the moment, and Hana is on a killing spree, and Mission is struggling to find his center, but look at the autos. Look at Nesty and the Tempered Fate. There's 2 members of J-Team now on stasis, and now they're dead. 3 members down, 1 in the side of Machi. Machi is able to get their foothold.
Mission free casts in that fight because J-Team are so dead set on knocking down the front line of Machi. Koala, another beautiful Tempered Fate on his way to an MVP of the game if Machi do close this one out. But J-Team, they get routed. The Akali keeps out the GP. I guess Rest really cannot kill Mission at this point unless the barrel chain is flawless. And as a result of that, J-Team, they get cut off, they get flanked, they get picked off, and Machi are in full control as they look towards Dragon Soul.
pretty scary on J-Team side, considering the fact that, just as you mentioned earlier, you know, J-Team is able to at least get the Baron, get the Siege, but because of Machi's, you know, counterattack in J-Team Siege, they deny any sort of further value off of that Baron, and like you said, 30 seconds on the clock for this Ocean Soul to be attained by Machi. That's going to be the 4th Ocean as well for themselves, and with that, full control so far.
Yeah, Hana quietly building himself up to being fairly big as well, by the way. 3-0 and 5 on that Graves does mean that the J-Team jungler is actually in a pretty good position to dish out the deeps. As a result of him being fed, by the way, he is also 2 levels up on his counterpart. So Machi, they can't 50-50 this. They need to find a pick, or they need to at least shut Hana out of the pit if they're gonna make a convincing play towards this Dragon Soul.
Very scary though. Nesty is able to steal and hijack away the Tempered Fate. Position-wise, Mission, again, going to his post as the flanker. Little bit scary though.
Ooh,
could it
reset.
be a replication of what happened earlier? PK is on the different ends as well, preparing for pincer attack. There, J-Team already starting the dragon. What's going to be the result? Is that going to be a deny out of Machi? There's a Tempered Fate, not gonna hit it, and there's Soul being activated towards Machi. Good Tempered Fate onto 2 members. Here comes the collapse from Machi. Woody incredibly low at the moment. Mission having to back away first as he's not able to find the correct targets. PK very low, has to back away, and Machi is able to attain their mission of getting that Soul, but now they want to run away. J-Team not going to allow them to do that as the slows will continue from Machi. They find Mission. Mission is a slippery Akali and is able to escape from that as the rest of the members of Machi is trying to distract them and juggle it into the fight, and that's Woody going down on the Leona. It's going to be a 4v5 situation, again, with Ocean Soul intact, and Nesty Rest incredibly dangerously low in terms of HP, and look at that, the arrow does not hit, and with that said, Machi wins that long extended fight still.
J-Team taking the prolonged fight, trying to chase that one out. It is Machi that's sustained with the Ocean Soul. Look at this frame perfect Volibear ultimate to make him unstoppable. He cannot be delayed by this Bard ult that was stolen, and he gets on top of that Drake. Level disadvantage be damned, he is coming for that objective, and Gemini seals the deal in favor of Machi here. Looked a little weird because he kind of stood AFK for a second in the pit while Machi decided what to do with that steal, and yet the decision was the correct one. Kite it out, wait for the sustain to kick in, and then get the pincer. PK, beautiful human bait, just sets up the rest of the team for success, and Machi now looking for another fight.
And that's a Tempered Fate, but the Cannon Barrage will stop them in their tracks as Lil V also making his way, joining the team. And now, again, Type A J-Team has to fight Ocean-empowered Machi players as Woody will bump into the rest of Machi's squad. It's a little bit tanky as that's going to be another arrow hitting Rest. He's just going to eat an orange and be okay.
Yeah, a little bit concerned that we do actually have the Zeke's tethered onto the Stenna, who doesn't actually auto-attack all that much. Well, she does, but very slowly. I think you find a lot more value on that if you put it on Graves or even GP or Silas, because then you get the overlay of the Frostfire Storm and the Firestorm, just to, you know, maximize the output of the utility plus the damage of that item. Just a small, it's not really mechanical, but just weird decision making from the support of J-Team there, who's usually pretty damn good when it comes to making those decisions. But speaking of decision making, some pretty suspect ones from J-Team right now. Credit to them for getting mid-prio while this Baron is, you know, a little bit of the ways away from spawning. Oh no, it is up. The timer is for Elder Dragon. Sorry. Yeah. Baron, name of the game for Machi from here on out. Either find a pick with Ashe or Bard. Cool, just regardless, force J-Team to come to you by starting this one up.
Yeah, crucial Baron now. Crucial Baron bait, I suppose, as Nesty has stolen the Dominus. J-Team looking towards starting a fight. Solar Flare, though, as Koala is able to Crucible that out. And with that, no Solar Flare, but that's going to be on a relatively low cooldown. Can still wait it out and start again.
Definitely looks to be the case here, as we are now looking to see if Machi can pull a response trigger. Yes, they use the Mikhails, but they still have Arrow, they still have Tempered Fate, they still have so much going for them, including 5 wards in this one bush.
Yeah, it's definitely the ward wars here for both of these teams as they are taking their camps at certain places in the opposite side of the river. Gemini wanting to find a pick. There's a Tempered Fate, but they're going to dash away as J-Team still a little bit safe. Rest going to get poked out a little bit. But you can tell, Type A J-Team really itching for a fight, as well as it looks like the ults have been consumed, but no deaths yet whatsoever.
Gemini has to be the player that stands still in a bush, like, the most in this league. Even not in a bush, like in that Dragon Pit after the Soul Steal. Just, I don't know what to feel about it. Either way, looks to have worked out for them so far, as they do again fish for something. Mission on the flank.
Mission on the flank. We've got Gemini, though, getting Zenith Blade. And look at the stun lock. Woody is unable to move at all. And again, having to retract their decision of committing to this fight. We got Bruce incredibly low, and that's the Sentinel hitting Bruce at the moment. Zenith Blade will not connect too far as Machi decides to retreat instead.
Very good sequence of events coming up in favor of J-Team here. Wrangle back mid-prio, get good vision set up onto this Baron, and get what amounts to be a very free reset. However, identifying that, Machi should just make a beeline straight for this Baron pit. They can brute force, they can force J-Team to come to them, and then they can make the proactive play happen. Use Bard Portal to get over the Baron wall, get in that pit, start it up, and make J-Team pay.
And that is the, call right now for Machi, starting it up at the moment. Already almost 50% health. Koala just trying to zone them away. Woody, Hana already right on their tracks. Mission with a flank, flashes in. They find Hana, but there's the Stormbringer. Gemini in the middle of it all. Woody as well. Gemini decides to retreat, but Nesty is just so far ahead. And now that's Bruce on a killing spree with Rest wanting to just go away, as Nesty will unfortunately fall. 3 members down for Type A J-Team as they run for the hills. Machi continuing with the chase as the Bard Magical Journey will take them into the hands of the rest of the members of J-Team. That's going to be an ace, and no need for Baron. It's time to finish the game.
Finish the game, finish the series. Machi find it all. They turn the pressure on. Yes, it takes them some time, but they continue to run with it. The giant Silas, the Volibear ult stolen, is not enough for J-Team to find this one, as they do look to fall to Machi Riku.
Exactly, Machi finishing this game on it, denying any sort of comeback. That is match point already. 3-1 finish. This moves Machi towards the next portion, getting them closer and closer towards that world seed.
Machi, one bracket, one match away, one best of 5 away from Worlds qualification. It feels so good. They are in pole position. They are the only team in the PCS so far qualified for that next round, and they are living for it. Beautiful play in this series. Look to continue it. A new Machi compared to the Machi we'd seen over the past couple of days, and they honestly just took full advantage of a J